Alright, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon everybody. Here an explanation video about how to calculate the area of the cylinder. We already talked about how to calculate the surface area of the cuboid, and maybe that was an easy part because it just consists about 6 rectangles, and you need to calculate those rectangles and add them together, and then you know the area of the cuboid. But here is a cylinder, and that's a difficult part. Why? Because we're going to talk about 2 circles and about a rectangle, and the rectangle, what you find in the middle in this screen, that's the difficult part. In your book you'll find the formula to calculate the area of the cylinder. It's 2 times pi times radius squared plus pi times the diameter times height. Alright, so very difficult because the question is why? Why is this formula to calculate the cylinder? Now let me just a few easy steps, and let me just start with the first step, 2 times pi times the radius to the second power. Now if you see here the cylinder, you will find 2 circles, where one above, that's circle 1, and one there under, that's circle 2. On the net, here, you will find those 2 circles. Now we know how to calculate the area of the circle, because the area of the circle, it was pi times the radius squared. Alright, so very important, pi times radius squared, because there is your pi times the radius squared. Now, why do we still need to do times 2? Because we have 2 of them. Yeah, so we have 2 circles. So that's the reason it is 2 times pi times the radius to the second power. Yeah, so we already solved the first part, this part. And those are the 2 circles together. We need to add something else. Pi times the diameter times the height. And that's that rectangle in the middle. This one. If we look at the size, the length of that rectangle, we are sure that that part on the right side or even on the left side is the height of my cylinder. Yeah, it needs to be. So that's the height. The question is, what is the length from here to there? Let me just say from A to B. Or from C to D. Yeah, and that's a very important question. Because if we look at the drawing, at the three-dimensional cylinder, we can say that point A and B come together in one point. So if we go from A to B, you go around the whole base. Yeah, so exactly the same with point C and D. It comes together because it goes around. Yeah, if you just take an A4 paper or a toilet roll and you just cut it out in the height, you will find even a rectangle. Yeah, so that length here, the blue line, is also the circumference of the circle. And the circumference of the circle was pi times the diameter. Alright? So to calculate the whole area of that rectangle, this area, we need to do height times the length. And that's also pi times the diameter. All right, and this part, that's also there. So pi times the diameter was the length or the circumference of the circle, and then we need to multiply it by the height. Now let me just look at another example, because there we're gonna calculate the area of the cylinder. It is just a soup can without any measurements, so we're gonna write down some length. So the height of the can, let me just say that's 12 centimeters. The radius is 3 centimeters. And yeah, this is no ID. We still need to calculate that part. And here's the height. Yeah, of course, also 12 centimeters. Yeah, because if it on the three-dimensional is 12 centimeters, then in the rectangle, the height of the soup can is also 12 centimeters. All right, so I already showed you the formula here, but maybe we can do it without the formula, because we need to start with the two circles. Yeah, so one above and one under. So this one and the other one is under. So the area of the circles, and I'm gonna do both together, so 2 times the area of the circle. It was, because we just said that's 3 centimeters, pi times the radius, 3 squared, that's the area of a circle, but we have 2 of them, so times 2. Right, so I'm gonna calculate this part. I'm just make some baby steps. So pi times 3 squared times 2 is exactly the same as 5, 6, 5, 4, etc. Alright, so if we're gonna talk about the rectangle, we needed to have the height, of course, the 12, multiplying with the length of the rectangle. The length of the rectangle was also the circumference of the circle. So pi times the diameter, and the diameter, because the radius was 3, so the diameter was 6. Alright, so 12 times pi times 6 is 226,19, etc. And we need to add those two answers. Yeah, you can also add, of course, my calculations. Those two. So the total area is pi times 3 squared times 2 plus 12 times pi times 6. Yeah, because then you do not use any rounded numbers. So I'm gonna put this part in my calculator, 3 squared times 2 plus 12 times pi times 6, and then you get 282,74 cubic centimeters. All right. Sometimes they ask you to know to calculate how many liters it is. So then you need to convert cubic centimeters still in liters. So then you need to know that liters is exactly the same as cubic decimeters. So cubic decimeters will be dividing by 100. So it is 0.28274 cubic decimeters. So that's rounded 0.3 liters. Yeah, so maybe those kind of questions could you have doing your homework. Alright, so this is the explanation how to calculate the area of cylinder, it is a difficult part, especially that rectangle in the middle, but please try to do those exercises because you need to practice by working with this part. So good luck, ladies and gentlemen, with your homework.